The HBO series of the same name portrays the Gilded Age period of American history, which is a true historical period. The Gilded Age is a historical drama television series that will premiere in January 2022. It centers on Bertha Russell, Carrie Coon, and her new money family as they attempt to enter New York City's high society during the era of the same name. The Russell family finds it difficult to integrate into the tight social scene of 19th century Manhattan after moving across the street from the wealthy Van Rynbroek family, who is headed by matriarch Agnes Van Ryn. Christine Baranski. The Gilded Age is a well-rounded and unforgettable series thanks to its superb performances, exquisite costumes, and superb production design. The Gilded Age's first season airs in 1882, and the second season follows in 1883. The Gilded Age addresses social expectations and class mobility, much like Downton Abbey. The Gilded Age, in contrast to that well-known series, also addresses the predicament of Black Americans and the country's domestic labor force, groups who endured hardships during this time as they attempted to establish themselves after Reconstruction. The success of the show has been attributed in part to its realistic portrayal of late 19th century America, which imagined the materialistic, frequently corrupt, yet opportunity-rich era. The Gilded Age is a period of time that is unique to the United States of America and is usually understood to have occurred between 1870 and 1900. This places the era immediately following Reconstruction and preceding the Progressive Era, both of which are U.S.-specific historical periods. Following the bloody and devastating Civil War, attempts were made to reconstruct the nation during the period known as Reconstruction. The North and West had enormous economic booms, but the South saw a depression and futile attempts to reconstruct its infrastructure. The modern writer Mark Twain is the one who coined the phrase Gilded Age. According to Britannica, the era's materialism and governmental corruption gave rise to a large number of works and writings that ridiculed and criticized it. The Gilded Age, A Tale of Today, 1873, is one of these, and it takes a satirical look at the tremendous corruption and capitalism that swept over America shortly after Reconstruction. The word gilded has a meaning. According to Twain, the excesses and wastefulness of the time were really a thin veneer of wealth placed on top of a foolish and corrupt society. Although the term was coined with humorous meaning, it quickly gained widespread usage as a means to describe that time period. The concept of a golden age may also be alluded to in the title Gilded Age. Any society's golden age is its pinnacle. Therefore, calling this era gilded suggests that, although it was still a high in terms of culture and economy, it was far less significant. It's only outwardly great, yet the decades were hollow beneath the surface. In addition to Mark Twain, a number of noteworthy historical personalities gained notoriety during the Gilded Age. The Russells, for starters, serve as loose stand-ins for the Vanderbilt family. Bertha is the character of Alva, while her husband George, Morgan Spector, is William Kissam Vanderbilt. The shipping and railroad tycoon Vanderbilts were not welcome into New York City's elite society, right once since they were new money, but their wealth could not be disregarded for long, according to Vogue. Renowned social gatekeepers of the time, Ward, Nathan Lane, and Caroline Astor, Donna Murphy, both make frequent appearances in the show. A few other historical individuals that make appearances in the Gilded Age are T. Thomas Fortune, Sullivan Jones, Mamie Fish, Ashley Atkinson, Carrie Astor, Amy Forsett, and Stanford White, John Sanders. There are many important figures who are not included in the Gilded Age because the show concentrates more on the upper society of New York City than it does on examining the entire era. Other parts of the world had their own noteworthy decades during the Gilded Age that America was going through. England was experiencing the Victorian era at the same time. This period, which came to a close at the turn of the 20th century, saw significant advancements in both society and technology. The Belle Epoque, also referred to as the Beautiful Era, was a similar historical period that affected the remainder of continental Europe. Following the devastation of the Napoleonic Wars, this was the period when nations experienced more peaceful times and the arts and sciences blossomed. The Gilded Age takes great care to replicate how people lived and dressed in terms of set design and costumes. The clothing that our actors are wearing, the carriages that they're stepping into, the teacups that they are using, all of this is accurate, says Erica Armstrong Dunbar, co-executive producer and historical consultant for the program, via Smithsonian Magazine. The Gilded Age is a true depiction of the era, not just because of the actual characters and setting, but also because of the ideas that run throughout the play. The show doesn't sugarcoat the gender and racial disparities that persisted in society despite advancements in morality. Although the women in the series are frequently given certain liberties, their rights are nevertheless far less than those of the men. Additionally, the status of black people is accurately shown. Even after the Civil War, when slavery was outlawed, most people still regarded black people as inferior. T. Thomas Fortune, Sullivan Jones, a historical and fictional character, was born into slavery and went on to become a well-known news anchor, before using his position to fight for the civil rights of other black Americans. Eventually, the Progressive Era began at the beginning of the 20th century, marking the end of the Gilded Age. The Progressive Era, in some ways a reaction to the Gilded Age, used the Library of Congress to improve the corrupt and wasteful commercial and political sectors. Concepts such as women's suffrage, business regulation, environmental protection, and other democratic principles gained traction and contributed to the advent of the Roaring Twenties. The excesses of the Gilded Age also contributed to the rise in popularity of Prohibition in the U.S. Unlike earlier eras in American history, the Gilded Age did not come to an end with a single momentous occasion. Rather, the decade's excess in wealth proved to be unsustainable. The typical individual became wealthier and had greater access to education, which finally led to the need for change in the United States going through a completely new historical phase in the 20th century.